Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was by far one of the most anticipated movies for me. The trailer was absolutely amazing. I was totally psyched and stoked we were going to get a more serious Ant-Man, or so I thought. Buckle up. This is not what I thought it was going to be. So we start off kind of innocently enough. Scott Lang's talking about his life. Similar to what's in the trailer, we get that joke about him being mistaken for Spider-Man. It's all kind of good. Then it gets a little weird because he starts talking about how Hope Van Dyne has become president of the company and is using it to save the world and doing all these environmental and social things that is big in Hollywood right now. Right off the bat, we've got a huge problem. Not with them pushing the message, but again, the common sense of it all. If you have PIM particle technology, you can instantly save the world. Like, they don't even touch on it, right? Ozone layer being depleted, boom, PIM particle to expand it. Oh no, there's a hurricane coming barreling down, PIM particle, boom, shrunk it down to nothing. Not mentioned, not brought up. Just established that she's some high-powered super boss girl saving the world for no reason whatsoever. More importantly, never brought up again. And of course there is a reason, which is soon to be revealed. In the midst of his retelling everything, he gets a text from the jail. No, that's a thing, but okay. Goes to the jail and finds, and Hope, at this point has taken time away from her CEO job to join him. And his daughter's been arrested. Oh, okay. What on earth could have possibly happened when we left her? She was a nice, appreciative, doughy-eyed teenager. Well, that's gone. Now she's your prototypical Marvel, Disney, SJW, snarky, overconfident, always right, and super wonderful teenage annoyance, to be honestly. She's been arrested because she used PIM particles to shrink a copmobile. Now, right off the bat, we're kind of scratching our head here. They firmly established correctly in the first Ant-Man movie that basically Hank was like, this shit is way too powerful to be used by anyone casually. That's why he took the tech. That's why he hid it away from everyone. And now we're just going to use it for good, whatever that is, and also we're going to let a teenager muck around with it. Completely unsupervised. The government somehow is allowing it. None of these things are covered. None. It would get in the way of their agenda. So basically, in a nutshell, what follows after that almost had me walk out of the movie theater. There is a scene in the car driving home from the police station where Cassie, especially with a little bit of assist from Hope, utterly and completely emasculate and destroy Scott Lang. They basically, in a nutshell, rail on him for not doing something after saving the goddamn universe. Even Thanos himself, after destroying half the universe, gets a sense of accomplishment, retires to a farm. Scott Lang ostensibly is actually the one who ends up at least setting into motion the ability for the rest of the Avengers, and with his help, save the universe, and he is met by two women utterly and completely emasculating him for not doing something more with his life. Let that sink in. Let's look at that for a moment. Guy's trying to live a good life, trying to do the best by his family, trying to recoup the 5 years that he's lost, and he is utterly destroyed for it. I could not believe how awful and horrible it was. We then get a dinner scene where it's basically revealed that Casey's been playing around with PIM particles in the quantum realm with the complete and utter knowledge of her grandfather, Michael Douglas. Angry Pin, I'm still going to call him Michael Douglas. And Evangeline Lilly's Hope, without the knowledge of Janet, grandma, or Scott Lang, the father. But that's for a very good reason, so we can move the plot forward and get their asses down to the quantum realm. And what is shown very vividly at this point, and this is, I don't care if it's superfluous, it matters to me, is Evangeline Lilly, however the hell you pronounce her name, has uglied herself up something fierce. Like, I don't know why that decision was made. I've seen interviews with her afterwards. She's kept the damn haircut. I don't know what the deal is. If you want to come out, come out. But at this point, it is absolutely safe for me to say with 100% confidence that from this movie, I would rather have sex with a 64-year-old Michelle Pfeiffer than a 43-year-old Evangel Lilly. I mean, there is that striking of a difference. Michelle Pfeiffer looks amazing. Evangel Lilly looks terrible. Nonetheless, they, of course, get to see Cassie's little science experiment, which sucks them all into the quantum realm, which we saw in the trailer. Once we hit the quantum realm, things really go off the rail. I'm going to go over details and characters and all that garbage later on, but what's really important to note is this, and it really would be great if the Marvel writers could listen to this. I know they won't, but hey, pass it along. Fingers crossed. Here's the deal. Everything that happens in the quantum realm effectively isolates and removes the audience from the willing suspension of disbelief and from any engagement or involvement in the movie. And the reason is very, very simple. There's an old axiom that the very best special effect is this special effect that you don't know is a special effect. The effects on this film are spectacular, right? There's no question. They don't look bad. But what they don't understand is that when you're rendering out a world, for an example, and I'm going to use Avatar as a perfect comparison. Avatar is a 100% altered world. The quantum realm is a 100% not altered, artificial realm. The quantum realm is also artificial realm. What is the difference? The difference is twofold. One, first and foremost, what James Cameron understands that these people do not, is that in order for an audience to be engaged, you must have a world rooted in what they know to be reality. Now, what does that mean? So, Avatar takes place on a whole different planet, no question. Different flora, different fauna, different creatures, no question. But it's very much grounded in what we know. There are beaches, there's water, there are trees, there's gravity, all these things that we know. The quantum realm has waterfalls going upside down, rocks floating in midair. It's not relatable. Now, the second part about this comes into play. You have to decide whether your artificial world is going to be the foreground or the background. And that is to say that in Avatar, it is the background. What that means is the wacky visuals and everything else is not the focus. What James Cameron has done wisely is kept the focus to the characters and the plot. Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania, it's all in the foreground. Look at these amazing flora and fauna and creatures and backgrounds and space. And oh, there's characters here? I guess we'll mention them casually. But what we're really going to do is just have them kind of push through. So real quick, in a nutshell, what is that plot that we're pushing through? They hit the quantum realm, they get split. Basically, Scott and Cassie find some, for lack of a better word, tribe of people, including that cool guy with the spinny round light thing for a head, who, interestingly enough, when they're being chased by a monster that's like clearly, hundreds of feet tall, he's able to blast it into oblivion with his thing. Very, very powerful. Later on in the movie, it's nothing. Whatever. The inconsistencies are everywhere. That's why I'm bringing them up. And, of course, the tribe is led by strong, empowered female. Duh. Okay. Gotta have that. That makes total sense. As for Hope and Janet and Hank, they go on a journey where basically Janet's finally forced to reveal that King the Conqueror was banished to the quantum realm. She helped him out. And when she finally figured out what he was through some sort of weird mind transfer from his machine, she screwed him over, and he's wanting revenge ever since. There's a goofy scene where she hooks up with, her ex, Bill Murray, and he betrays her, blah, blah, blah. Again, none of this matters because there's no gravitas, there's no consequences. It's all done just to push you forward to the next thing. I mentioned earlier from the trailer review, they had a potential here. They had a greatness here. Really, really should have been capitalized on. And basically, you have the two camps. You've got Scott and Cassie, who had a 5-year break in their relationship, now forced to survive together in this strange land. There could have been an insanely powerful bonding experience there. On the flip side, you've got Hope and Janet and Hank that had a 30-year break in their familial unit with Janet being in the quantum realm, you had a great, wonderful opportunity to clear out some of the baggage from that and help reform that bond. These could have been two stories told in parallel that meet together. It would have been wonderful, and God, no, the writers would have none of that. All right, so Janet and Hank and Hope are captured, and we find out Casey and Scott are in super duper trouble because Kang has sent M.O.D.O.K after them. And I was psyched. Finally, we're gonna get M.O.D.O.K. He was just briefly teased in the trailer. This is gonna be awesome. Boom, M.O.D.O.K shows up on the screen. He's completely armored. He's got weapons out the wazoo. He's kicking ass and taking names. Then there's the confrontation. He removes the metal mask to show that, you know, the face that I was expecting to see. And instead what I got, not a joke, the face of Corey Stoll, Darren, Yellow Jacket from the first movie. And it looks atrocious. It is some of the worst CGI that I have ever seen. It's like they couldn't get the proportions correctly because they were trying to take a somewhat, shall we say, rectangular human face and put it square. And that's only scratching the surface of how insultingly horrific M.O.D.O.K is. They destroyed the M.O.D.O.K. He was reduced to nothing more than a punchline, an ineffective joke, and I'm going to fast forward to the end here because I don't even want to bring it up again. The finale of M.O.D.O.K, and I'm not making this up, is in the midst of a heated rebellion, fighting thousands against thousands, a giant Ant-Man. Don't worry, we're going to get to all this garbage. Casey Lang tells him that he's a dick, and I'm not making this up. In the middle of all this, she stops, and he admits that he is a dick. Kidding me. That is the low level of writing that we got in this movie. Clearly, I digress. So getting back to the non-action, Casey and Scott are eventually taken captive. In comes Kang the Conqueror. First time we've kind of seen him. And he is given a utterly nondescript, whatever the plot needs, power set. He's able to telekinetically manipulate physical bodies through force fields. He's able to, do energy project. I mean, it's insane. Whatever the plot needs, he can do. That he displayed none of those abilities in the past, and they are definitely plot related because you'll see later on, they don't work when you don't want them to work, and they don't work the way that they established they worked if it would have interfered with the plot. It's insane. It's ridiculous. Nutshell, Kang wants Scott Lang to, quote, steal, unquote, the powered source that he needs to get out of the quantum realm, and it's basically just, he's got to shrink really small. Ridiculous. I know. So, of course, he's going to kill his daughter if he doesn't do it, so he agrees, and now we have the quote-unquote heist portion of the film. It's not really a heist, of course, as he rather easily makes his way to his goal. He runs into this weird probability field that they don't really do much explaining, although they probably should. He meets a bunch of gazillion versions of himself, and at the end of the day, and this becomes a very much recurring theme throughout this film, Ant-Man fails in accomplishing his goal until he is helped out or saved by a woman. It happens again and again and again. And in this scene, basically, Hope shows up and lifts him, and together they're able to acquire the power thing for Kang. Then, again, Kang, once he has his power thing, screwed over again by Janet, and then a big, huge social revolution occurs. Dun, dun, dun. It's unbelievable. It's just CGI crap after CGI crap. There's no stakes. There's no emotional involvement. It's absolutely pointless and useless. This is where we get to that scene of Casey calling Darren a dick that I mentioned earlier. In the middle of this heated battle, Ant-Man tries and fails and is saved by, women again. And then ultimately, Hank shows up with giant technologically advanced ants. And I know what you're saying. Whoa, where did those come from? Oh, don't worry. It's briefly mentioned at the beginning. but it's utterly useless. It's, again, done to further demasculate Ant-Man. He doesn't have the ability to do it on himself. He needs to be saved. The ants bum rush Kang. Now he has the ability to create a force field, and they can't get through. But then M.O.D.O.K decides that he can cut through somehow, and he barely does. And then, boom, he's basically shot off when the field breaks, and Kang's carried away by the ants, and he dies. I mean, he dies. He actually says, "Oh, I'm gonna die an Avenger." Scott Lang's like, "Yeah, you're an Avenger." I mean, it's again, this is supposed to be a serious moment, and you're joking. I mean, what is wrong with you? Finally, Janet's like, "Oh, hey, come on back up. I'll send us all home." Okay, cool. Just magically, she knows everything. And boom, portal opens. They all jump through, and Scott Lang's about to jump through when, Kang blasts him out of nowhere. Got away from 1.8 quadrillion ants with no issue. And then what ensues while this portal's open, and anybody could have just ran through it or whatever, or Scott could have closed it, they fight, fist fight. At least Ant-Man gets a couple punches in. I mean, they didn't completely utterly humiliate him until the end when he's saved by Hope coming back. Yes, again, that's all this movie is him getting saved by women. Kang is sucked into the power cell itself, and then the portal closes. Oh no, that's wow, that's an interesting actual development. We might have something here. Like, wow, Scott and Hope are now trapped in the quantum realm, and how are they going to be part of the MCU movie? Oh no, portal reopens. Janet reactivated it remotely from regular Earth. Kidding me. And they come back. They have a nice fake birthday for Cassie, and everyone is all happy, blah, 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 blah. What follows is not one, but two post-credit scenes, and I'm going to mention them because they are far and away the worst post-credit scenes ever. The first one basically shows three Kang variants, including Rama-Tut and Immortus. Now, here's the kicker. I have no doubt that people at Marvel thought, haha, this is cool, we got Rama-Tut and Immortus. Guess what? 99% of the people in the audience saw nothing. They don't read the comics. They don't know anything about this. All they saw was basically a Kang variant dressed up as an old Egyptian person. That's it. And then another one talked really funny. That's it. That's what they saw. Okay? And through the garbled speech, you get that they know that the Kang has been killed, and so they're now going to move forward with their domination plan for the multi-universe, and in order to do so, they've called together every single Kang variant ever in, an arena. Okay, so A, it's insultingly stupid. If you've established that the multiverse is infinite, you can't call them all, can't hold them all in a finite space. Okay, 2, I guess this arena is a foreshadow for Secret Wars, or at least I hope it is. No one in the audience knows that. Again, you gotta get this in your brain. They haven't read the comic books. But third, and most importantly, is they show all these Kang variants, and one's a Skrull, and one's just screaming a lunatic angry, but nothing happens. Well, you could say, oh, this is a setup for something, but you have to set up something, right? Here's the deal. All it took is Immortus calling the Kangs to order and saying, we're here to discuss destroying the Avengers. End. That would have been great. That would have been a setup. That would have moved things forward. But it just showed them. He didn't even, acknowledge that one of them was dead, but didn't talk about what their plans were, doesn't talk about any obstacles, didn't talk about any action they were going to take, and hanging it like that doesn't make it interesting. Now, the only thing worse than that is the second post-credit scene, taking place after the credits, literally, and it shows one of the Kang variants in what looks to be the 1800s, talking about time, pan to the audience, and there is Tom Hiddleston's Loki, and one of the Wilson's brothers, character, I forget his name, and they acknowledge that it's Kang. Again, no setup, nothing whatsoever to give any reason why we watched this, why we saw this, why you're presenting this to us, except for, oh look, there's Loki. We know he's popular, let's throw him in. And I will say this, there might be something behind that. Only real reaction the audience had the entire movie was for Loki. being shown. So recap and final thoughts. This was really something I was looking forward to. I really thought that despite all the garbage on their TV shows for the last year, that they were going to just move forward with the movies in a good direction. I expected Black Panther to be awful. I didn't expect it to be as awful as it was. But this is Ant-Man, right? We've got 2 Ant-Man movies. They're fun. They're lighthearted. They're very well structured. They're very well done. And now we were going to get, I thought, a little bit more serious tone. And we certainly did, just in all the wrong places. Put an overemphasis on special effects and removed any kind of real character arcs, development. They did not start at one place and end at another. They started at one place, they ended at one place. The cardinal sin in any kind of entertainment product. And again, it's all about pushing their agenda and pushing their message at the sacrifice of something entertaining. I could go on and on. It's a broken record at this point. Hopefully you guys have seen the movie as well, and if so, I'd love to see what you think of it. So, let's talk about it. Obey your king. Subscribe to the channel and click the notification icon.